and welcome to Fire in the Desert Bible Bites. I am so excited that you've decided to join us today and see what we have in store. And as I've said so many times before, we are in the dispensation. The time has come for us to watch and pray, to pray and watch, and to watch and pray again. And so it just was on my heart. I think I want to do a Bible study, but then something catches my attention, and I think I should bring it to the larger group of people. Just things that I've discovered. I discover things and I share them, and then people tell me things that they've discovered, and we all share alike. So I'm just going to share a couple of news stories. It's just going to be a chat today. I'm not going to get into a formal lesson, but I do think it's so very important to really look at the times, and that's pretty much what this channel is all about, looking at the signs that are around us, the things that are happening and going on, and we go from there. So I think the last time we talked, I think I either had my friend in the work of the Lord, Pinky Spain, on, and sometime before that we were talking about the Super Bowl and how in California the mandates really changed, and they took a sharp and drastic turn, like no warning, right after the Super Bowl. That was kind of the turning point in what we have now. I guess it's being called the endemic, and California, of all places, is leading the country in that. I don't ask me how that comes about. Don't ask me how and who decides that, but that seems to be the case. And I showed so many pictures of people, unmasked and shouting, chanting, screaming, doing all kinds of things for their favorite sports team. And 70,000 people in SoFi Stadium, and of course the streets and the side bars, and there were so many other tailgating parties and events going on. Not a mask in sight, and yet on SoFi grounds they were passing out masks. But you can see either those who either watched the Super Bowl or who were in the area, or certainly from some of the pictures that I had shown, no one was really concerned about the pandemic, right? So 70,000 people deep, not concerned about a mask, not concerned about the pandemic, not concerned about any of the mandates and being enforced, and yet our churches are closed. My friend, if there's ever a time to call upon the Lord, it is now. If there's ever a time to pray and go before the Lord, it is now. If there's ever a time to call a solemn assembly, if the solemn assembly is just you, now is the time. My friend, if there's ever a time to fast and pray and watch and pray, today, my friend, is it. So I'm going to share what I've recently been shown in the news. I've said it time and time again that, hey, Hollywood has shown you what they think the end game is going to be. But my friend, it really is what's happening right before our eyes. We can all tell that the time, it's 2022, and we're already halfway into March. I'm like, where did the time go? Where has the time gone, right? But let me share with you some really interesting, if not really eerie news. It's almost scary to me because it says a lot of things. And I'm going to start with the news article about, I'm going to call him Fauci, but the world knows him as Fauci. Fauci has gone into the witness protection program. Yes, my friends, according to Governor DeSantis in Florida, and we have here a tweet, Dr. Fauci may have been relegated to a Trumpian witness protection program, but we still believe him when it comes to the COVID, hashtag COVID protection program. Masking equals respect. My mask protects you. Your mask protects me. Hashtag trust Fauci. Hashtag masking for a friend. My friend, I mean, should we even really have to say, if you're in the witness protection program, you're there for a reason, that it's not safe for you to be on the streets. Now, you can say maybe, this was just a cautionary thing to take place because now that the, pandemic has become an endemic, a lot of people are upset that, hey, a lot of jobs were lost, a lot of lives were lost, a lot of rights and freedoms were lost. And now all of a sudden we turn the corner, and, for what? So what was he saying for the past 2-3 years? Was it as serious as he made it to be? And I'm not saying that, there wasn't a plague. I'm not saying that, the loss of life was tragic. I'm saying what kind of measures and what kind of things were said and what kind of people were demonized behind whatever you felt about being vaccinated or unvaccinated, or what was your stance on still, wearing the mask and still being able to go here and to go there. And my feeling is this, it's simply this. Some people are going to be people of faith. Some people are going to be people of science. But my thing is, if it's so great, why are you forcing people? That's probably, one of the third point I want to make. Number 2, if this is a land with free ideas, freedom of speech, why is everyone who has a different opinion from certain news outlets being called those misinformation? And then some people were demonized way far beyond that, up to and including Trump. I wouldn't consider myself a friend of Trump, but I do believe that a lot of the things that he said, were important. I didn't obviously agree with everything, but he was, when you look at it, half a dozen in one hand, 6 in the other, either party in terms of, what's happening in the African American community. I really don't believe, the answer is in either political party or the justice system, certainly not the police department. Our justice is going to be with the Lord. If my people who are called by my name would humble themselves and pray, that is the only thing that we haven't done. We've marched the streets. We've cried out to the politicians. We've cried out to the president. We've cried out to the justice system. Hashtag this, Black Lives Matter that. And, the solution has not come yet. Reparations is a long way off. And by the time they pay reparations, my friend, the dollar might not even exist anymore. And more of that in a few minutes. But so Fauci is in the witness protection program. I think we have a shot of Governor DeSantis from Florida, who kind of broke the news saying, yeah, hey, Fauci is in the witness protection program. Florida was one of the states that stood their ground, that said, hey, we're not going to have all of these crazy mandates. We're not going to make people be forced to do this or forced to do that, the mask or not. You choose, decide what you want to do, and you know what, it's going to be okay in Florida. And now other states are taking that turn. And that was the point that he was making by that news feed. And he was also saying that Fauci is in the witness protection program. My friend, the point I'm going to make is, it's really not about I told you so, or this person is wrong, or these, it's not about vilifying other people. Now is the time to have a strategy, because clearly the strategy against the people is being unfolded. You have to have a mind that goes just beyond face value. My thing is, you can fool some of the people all of the time and all of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all of the people all of the time. So Fauci, with all of these statements and ramblings about science and vaccinations, and anybody who had a disagreement is false information and lives are at stake. Yet at his word, so many lives, have been turned upside down and or been destroyed, either physically or financially or livelihoods, you name it. completely destroyed. And the reason I think he's in witness protection is not because of all of those things, even though those would be valid reasons. By far, those are valid reasons. My friends, this is a chess game. And the opposition is several chess moves ahead of the people. Fauci is in the witness protection program, not because of any of the things and the tragedy that's already taken place. It's because of the tragedy that is to come. My friend, my Bible tells me to watch and pray, and I do believe that the consequences of, vaccine after vaccine, or what we're going to call vitamin shot after vitamin shot, and then boost after boost, the consequences are yet to be seen, my friend. My friend, what are the consequences of having something that, what the makers and the creators are not even willing to give the ingredients on? My friend, what does that mean? In fact, I don't have the article right now, so I'm not going to refer to it, but the companies that developed the vitamin shot, those companies, not only are they not willing to disclose what's in it, they want a 5-year head start, run, jump, take all the money and, run into a bunker underground somewhere, because that's going to be the only place they'll be able to live. But they started, I think, throwing their stock away in the companies. Can you imagine that? So they developed this potion, forced many people to take it, and now that they don't want to disclose what's in it, they've kind of dropped all of their stock. So Fauci is running, the pharmaceutical barons, lords, underlords, hidden hands behind that. They have divested their funds or sold their shares into these potions. And I think it's a lot to do with, as the truth comes out, they're running. They're running, and the worst is yet to come. Again, it's not about someone being told, I told you so. It really is time to band together, find a group of people, and pray. It is so, my friend, it is so way past time to watch and pray, to fast and pray, because if there are any consequences behind, some of the vitamin shots or some of the ingredients, prayer is the only thing that can save you. We can't trust, clearly, Big Pharma. We can't trust the doctors that they have paid off or in their back pocket, or, believe science no matter what. That's going to be faulty, along with falsy, and all of those statements there. Science has clearly not lived up to its high esteemed reputation by those learned and schooled of things above common people. So that's not panning out very well, and it's very sad. And my encouragement to everyone under the sound of my voice, get a group of people to pray with. 70,000 people in SoFi stadiums, and yet many of our churches are too afraid to open their doors, even now. Even now that everything else is open, business as usual. The Church of Satan literally just had in Scottsdale, Arizona, a convention of 50,000 people, a convention no less, and churches of a mere few hundred people, maybe even a few thousand people, are afraid to open, are afraid to, even just have an hour of prayer. I think this is so shameful and disgusting, a disgusting scourge upon the church. But you know what? The church is not the building. It certainly is the people. And so it really is time for the people who used to sit on the church benches. It's time to find your own relationship with the Lord, because the pastor can't preach you in, the church mother can't pray you in, and the choir can't praise you in. My friend, it is time for you to find your own personal relationship with the Lord at this time. So, in addition to falsy being found out, we have the war in Ukraine, which, here for those of us in California, that has caused our gas prices to spike. 550 is about the cheapest you're going to find. 550, 560 is going to be about the cheapest gas you can find right now, up to about $7. And so we have GOP Representative calls Zelensky a thug and says Ukraine is pushing woke ideologies. So, so we have some of our members in the GOP saying that, Russia or Ukraine is pushing certain ideologies and, want to spin a certain narrative. And I believe that to be true because I think one of the most tragic things about the war that has started in Ukraine, and they have very much less of my sympathy right now, as they are begging for their humanitarian rights, as they're begging for help and support from the other nations, as they are asking and pleading for the United States to get involved, for the UN to get involved, for the neighboring countries to get involved. What does the Ukraine decide to do? They decide to take away the human rights of the African Americans and the Africans that are within their borders. So, Ukraine, shame on you. And you know what? May the judgment of God fall where it falls. So may what His will is in heaven, may it be on earth. And so I think many nations are beginning to be judged. This is the beginning of the judgment of the nations. And you know what? The way I see it is my prayers are, let the will of God be done. I'm going to sit this one out. I pray that the will of God be done in all things, and obviously with the minimal loss of life. But I have no dog in this fight. Clearly, if I were someone over there who was supporting the economy, helping the economy, buying, selling, trading, living there, supporting the economy, and if I wanted to leave right now, it would be tragic. It's tragic to know that I would be stopped at the borders. Wow, Ukraine, you're going to take a big L for that one. Ukraine is stopping Africans from that were within their borders from fleeing because many feared, as your lives are being lost, many are feared that it's a priority with the foreigners within their walls. I mean, it's tragic on all sides, but at least we see the true hand and the true heart of many in the country. I can't say that all, but what I'm going to say is silence means contempt, and possibly contempt as well. Many nations have been silent about that. It's not really been a rebuke of the behavior or a discouragement of the behavior. It was just seen and disclosed and observed, and that's a bad thing to do. Instead of, hey, you're demanding your humanitarian rights. Why have you taken away the humanitarian rights of those within your borders? So I definitely wanted to bring that to your attention. Those were just things that I came across this week, and they were certainly heavy on my heart as I was with my prayer group last week, that I didn't want to have political prayers in my own understanding. I didn't want to pray an angry prayer. I didn't want to pray a prayer, come and save everybody. I didn't want to pray a prayer because a certain friend of mine wanted to feel a certain way. I just said, God, let your will be done on earth as it is in heaven, and let that be the case. Amen and amen. I feel that judgment is starting with the wealthy nations. And World War III, we're at the brink. I think we do have another clip where we have some Americans that have decided to volunteer and go support the effort in the Ukraine. And I'm thinking that they may be Ukrainian Americans, and it's all getting a little bit convoluted. Oh yeah, this was the other thing from the GOP representative who said corruption is not just prevalent in Ukraine, it's the system. Well, my friend, if that's a GOP politician saying that, I mean, what I see looking at that is that's the pot and the kettle and the stove and the kitchen. Something isn't adding up. If a GOP politician is saying the Ukraine, their system is corrupt, well, buddy, you ought to know, because look at America. If this system isn't corrupt, I don't know what is. And you know what? We're not in the kindergarten of corrupt. We have full-blown mastered corruption over here. And someone, a wordsmith, just broke down to me not too long ago that California is just a pagan name altogether. And I'm like, well, it certainly makes sense. Cali, Hindu god, and then Fornia, you can pretty much figure that out. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, no wonder there's so many reprobate behaviors going on here. But there was another clip, I believe, that we had regarding the Ukraine. So additionally, a number of women who attended college with Cawthorn have accused him of sexual misconduct. Oh yeah, that's the pot calling the kettle something and the kettle calling a pot something. He also spoke at the January 6, 2021 rally that preceded the violence at the U.S. Capitol and subsequently voted to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election. He recently made headlines for driving with a revoked license, his third reported traffic violation in the last 6 months. So here we have a politician, a seated politician, driving dirty, whereas if you're if you're an African American, driving with a revoked license is tantamount to being sentenced to jail, serious debt, and up to and including we've seen it go to the worst set of circumstances for a regular traffic stop. And it was just, I'm sorry, I thought this or I thought that, and where's the justice in all of these things? So for a Republican politician to call the Ukrainian system corrupt really needs to look at America, because America, there is no finer blueprint to corruption than when you look at the American system. I mean, justice refuses to be served to certain groups and populations within the U.S., and that's truly, truly unfortunate. But my friends, we know that in all things come together for the good of those that love the Lord. And I'm encouraging you, my friend, take a serious look at your relationship with God today. I'm sharing these things not so that you can be afraid. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It's for you to understand that the veil is being uncovered. Some things are being revealed right before our eyes, right in real time, and you need to pray and prepare. So you're going to prepare spiritually, you're going to prepare physically for the days ahead, because my Bible tells me that men's hearts will fail them for fear of the things that are coming on the land. So, as World War III is scratching at the door, the economy is certainly staggering right now. Gas prices, my goodness. I'm so grateful that I can work from home in these days, and I bless God for that ability to do so, because the gas is absolutely ridiculous here in Southern California. It's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, I never thought I'd see gas prices like at $6, and already some places are $7. So I might have to polish off my bus ticket and start using that again, because I loved riding the bus. I was just like, oh wow, no gas, no parking, no insurance, no a lot of things. So I might have to polish that off and at least park my car a lot longer than I do normally. So with that, I just really want to encourage people. The headlines, this is just the beginning. We're just scratching the surface. We're in the time of sorrows, and many things are starting to come upon the land. It's going to be political things. There are going to be things going on in neighborhoods and communities and schools and with people. I mean, I think the lawlessness in California is really on a certain is reached new levels every day. It's like you're seeing something you thought you'd never see again. Like there was a newscaster, and as they were reporting a hit and run accident was actually caught in the background. So that's how wild it is in California. It is absolutely the wild, wild west. So a car literally swiped another car while the reporter was reporting, did a U-turn, and went down another street. So the times are getting a lot more dangerous. Violent crimes are happening. Here in Chinatown, a man was just stabbed by another stranger, just in broad daylight. Not in the nighttime, not, he was trying to enter his apartment or get out of the trunk of his car in a dark alley or, in a dark garage somewhere. Just broad daylight. Things are happening in broad daylight. So evil is manifesting in people, places, and things all around us. Spirits are manifesting because the devil knows his time is short. And those people who allow themselves to be open vessels because they have reprobate ideologies, they don't belong to the Lord, they do not seek the Lord, they're not trying to seek the Lord, and even those in the household of faith, because judgment is going to start at the altar of the Lord. My friends, make sure your calling is secure. Make sure your salvation is secure. We're all working out our salvation with fear and trembling. But now is the time to really evaluate your game plan. So Fauci is thinking, Fauci, faulty, is thinking of what's going to happen next, what people are potentially going to do or say, or consequences of the things that he's been so sure about for, 2-3 years. Well, let's say 2 years. Things that have been said for 2 years, so sure about them, now he has to run and hide. Who does that? So things are happening, things are unfolding, and the people around us, the governments are thinking 3 and 4 steps ahead. There are certain communities that are thinking 3 and 4 steps ahead. They're trying to prepare, for the days ahead, the bunkers and, all of the food, prep, and supplies. And I say absolutely, if it is within your means, or try to make means to have some food on hand, to have some supplies on hand for when, not if, when. Because as the gas increases, other things have to increase, because diesel, my goodness, the truckers have to get the supplies to places. So, my friend, I encourage you to prepare. Now is the time to buy a little bit extra food on hand, or try to, minimize your eating and spending on some things. Keep some cash on hand, and buy some extra things, because, being able to barter is going to be the medium of exchange when the money starts to get more funny. It's already funny, but it's going to get more funny. And you know what? With the way inflation is going, your 401k is not going to save you. Your bank account is not going to yield you what you think it is, or what you imagined it would yield you once you put your money in the bank, or once you had your direct deposit set up, and you're like, oh, well, I'll have money. But it reminds me of the parable in Luke, I believe it's Luke 12, where the wealthy man stored up his barn house, and he said, oh, I've stored up my barn, and I have plenty for many years to come. And the Lord said to him, you fool, this night your life will be required of you, and who's going to get all of those things that you stored up for yourself, that you were hoarding just for yourself, and you thought you were going to be able to eat, drink, and be merry? Who's going to get those things? So, my friend, it's time to be wise. It's time to really, think a couple of steps ahead. By all means, think a couple of steps ahead. You know what? Is the city not the best place to stay anymore? Is, maybe getting into a little more rural areas where it's less populated, maybe that's the thing to do. Seek the Lord in all of your decisions right now. Seek the Lord in decisions with your finances and everything else. My friend, now is the time to do it. Now is the time to seek the Lord. Watch and pray, pray and watch. Thank you so much for joining us here at Fire in the Desert. We look forward to seeing you on the next time. Thank you.